Good morning. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar and happy World Tourism Day. I am coming to you live from the VTIC office here on Collins Street in Melbourne, and just turn on the little screen there. Hello, and just wanted to say happy World Tourism Day. Thank you for joining me. It is certainly a very relevant topic to our industry to celebrate and help the United Nations World Tourism Organization help them promote universal accessibility everywhere. So thank you to all who are live with us at the moment. I wanted to also acknowledge Bill Forrester for really sharing his awareness of accessibility and putting this on our radar, I guess, around the city. Before we really get into things, I just wanted to check that you can see and hear and hear me. So I'll just put, just in case you can't, can you hear me? And if you guys can check on your panel, you can see a little hand up. If you want to just tap that little hand up to just acknowledge that we're all good to go. Thank you, Nari. Thank you, guys. God, it's a really good turnout. It's really pleasing. Thank you, everyone. And without further ado, there is a question panel as well. So as we, in the second half, I've got some very special guests and accessible ambassadors that will be joining us for this online series. And I have some special guests that have just walked in the room to join us, which is fantastic. So let's get going. I know we all have busy mornings. What I would like to do, so if everyone is good to hear me. Thanks, Brett. Welcome. Hey, Adrian. We've also got Adrian on the call. So, World Tourism Day, Tourism for All. What I have put together in terms of content for you here is what is World Tourism Day, where did it start, and we also, United Nations is the founding organisation that really founded and saw value in celebrating world tourism on a universal stage, challenging perceptions, particularly with the topic that we're talking about today. And it is great. Bill is also joined us. Hey, Bill, thanks for joining us. We're going to talk about web ability. So in terms of being accessible, in having physical accessible experiences and destinations, also wanted to shed some light on, are our communications, digital communications accessible? So just wanted to shed some light on, how we're working our websites, or has that even been on our radars, to ensure that our content can be read by screen readers and the like. I've got a little bit on what not to do, and certainly from my own experience back with Kiff, hello Kiff, who's also joining us today, and some case studies around the country. The one I always like to speak to, and I've learnt a lot from Mr. Forrester as well, the opportunities that exist within this space. And then I'll invite, we have Kiff Saunders, we have Debby. Debby, are you with us? Hey Debby, thank you for joining us today. We've got Debby from Changing Places Australia, and we will also have Lara Cavallo, the CEO from Destination Melbourne. Okay, so why am I talking about accessibility and accessible tourism? I guess this was a webinar that I had put together with Scope Victoria and Kiff back at Global Ballooning, and having participated and seeing the innovation come to life with the Global Accessible basket, it was certainly one of the highlights of my time with Kiff and the team. So this was something that we've really dusted off, and I thought, given the theme of today being accessible tourism, and this existed and I've delivered it before, we've just made it something, I've gone off and had a lot of fun bringing it into 2016 and delivering it to you guys today. Now, I did arrange for the UN, United Nations World Tourism Organization, the secretary, to send us a little note here. So let's see if this works for us.
Tourism has experienced a real revolution in the past 50 years. In 1950, there was a near 25 million international tourists crossing borders. Today, there are around 1.2 billion people traveling the world. Traveling has become a huge part of many people's lives. When we travel, we come across new people, new sights, new ideas. And often our perception of the world changes as we see more of it. We definitely become better people. However, we must not forget that for many of us, traveling can still be quite a difficult process. 15% of the world's population is estimated to live in some kind of disability or not. This is, my friends, about 1 billion people around the world who may be unable to enjoy knowing other people, experiencing nature as a tourist, and experiencing the thrill of embarking on a journey to explore new sights and new places. Accessibility for all should be therefore at the heart and at the center of tourism policies and business strategy. Not as a human rights only, which is important on its own, but also as a great marketing instrument for business. With the world's population aging, all of us will benefit sooner or later from universal accessibility. As we celebrate World Tourism Day today, let us all recall that all of the world's citizens have the right to experience incredible diversity of our planet and the beauty of the world we live in. We thus urge all countries and destinations, as well as all industries, to promote accessibility for all in the physical environment, the transportation system, the public facilities and services, and in the information and communication. I wish you all a very, very happy World Tourism Day, and a future full of enrichment and compelling travel experiences to be enjoyed by all.
Now, 1.2 billion people travelling the world, 50% of the world's population estimated to live with some kind of disability is what was just shared with us. That's equivalent of 1 billion people. So as you've just heard, and thank you for those of you that said that that was breaking up a little bit. I did test this last night. And I could see that it was a little distorted in terms of the sound, but I deliberately left it in there for you guys to experience what it could be when you can't hear what is translated in a video. So I wanted to highlight that the captions that were used in that video were actually really important. Now, a lot of us are getting into digital content and doing the YouTube clips and providing promotional material and spending quite a bit of money. But are we thinking, what about having captions on our videos? So that what helped us with that content, and I did deliberately leave that in there to give that some consideration. So I've got an infographic here that is available to everyone at the World Tourism Organization website. And I guess ever since the inception of World Tourism Day, which started in 1980 on this day, 27th of October, it was really to foster the awareness among the international community of the importance of tourism and its social, cultural, political and economic value. Now this year in particular in 2016, it's Tourism for All is the theme, and promoting universal accessibility. Just to give you an idea and flag it in on your radar for coming years, and also to keep in the loop with the World Tourism Organization. These are some of the themes of previous years. So we had things from tourism linking cultures, tourism and water, tourism and community development, and 1 billion tourists, 1 billion opportunities was last year's theme. Now, while I have Bill on the line, Bill, did you want to add, I know you've had some you've done some work with at that level with the United Nations. You've just come back from overseas. Was there something that you'd like to share about the World Tourism Day and the initiatives there? Would that be something you'd be happy to come on and join us? If you wanted to say, give me a little yes or a hands up, I can take you off mute. Excellent. Okay, so welcome, Bill. Hello, lovely to have you here. Thank you. I know you're interstate at the moment. So is there something, you've just come back from overseas, is there something that you'd like to add around the United Nations and what they do around accessibility and I guess the greater good of tourism?
Yeah, I can. The UNWTO have really been pushing accessible tourism. It's part of the Millennial Goals, and it's also a part of any funding for any third world tourism development now. It's a prerequisite that accessibility has got to be a cornerstone. I guess the fundamental difference the UNWTO is pushing is really to forget the word access altogether. It's all about creating inclusive experiences today. Back in 2014, there was the first Destinations for All World Summit that was held in Montreal. As part of that, somewhere on our website, there is a manifesto or a communique that was produced at the end of that, which sort of laid out something like 45 key steps for all levels of government, tourism associations and individual industry members of what they could all do to further the cause. Later today there will be a press release coming out to say that the second World Summit on Accessible Tourism will be held in Brussels in the autumn of 2018. That's a significant step now to have a second World Summit to further that agenda worldwide.
Fantastic. And in a brief, what can we do better in this space to be more aligned with that, Bill, in your opinion?
To me, the cornerstone of the whole thing is it's got to be a concerted effort. If we look at Victoria now, I could probably name a dozen tourism organisations that are doing accessible tourism extremely well. Global Ballooning is one. Phillip Island Nature Parks is another. You've got a small operator down at Moonlit Sanctuary that is also taken it to heart. What we're lacking is some guidance, some top-level guidance and some top-level commitment to educate the industry. I think we've made a mistake over the years in that we've relied on the compliance model. We're still in a medical model of disability that says building a ramp and building a toilet is enough, whereas in fact it's all about product development, and it's no different. Accessible tourism is absolutely no different to building any other form of tourism product. It's all about understanding what your customers want, how you're going to service that, and how you're going to delight them in the same way as you would build a product for any other group.
Absolutely. It's all, I guess it says it all in the hashtag that the United Nations is using. It's tourism for all and inclusivity. It's that we look at.
It's got to be destination wide too. You know, it's no good Kiff running accessible ballooning experiences in the Yarra Valley if it doesn't then relate to the rest of the Yarra Valley embracing accessible tourism to fill in the rest of the day. Isolated experiences don't make a destination.
Yes, yes, excellent. Well, we appreciate you, Bill, and I know for myself personally, just keep learning and learning more and more from you. So I will continue on. We've only got an hour together, but it's certainly great that we can get together virtually in this format and have these discussions. So, and I appreciate you for jumping on board today. Okay, I'll get your feedback at the end. And if there's any additional resources that you could share that I can follow up with everyone, that would be great also. Okay?
Good.
All right, thanks, Bill. Okay, so and that is right on. We need a real holistic approach when it comes to tourism for all and inclusive and accessible experiences. So in light of what Bill's just shared and the topic for today, accessible tourism is about the mainstream industry embracing the market. So its inclusion is the driving force, not so much accessibility. So what I had, I guess this is all to do with challenging our perceptions as well. We're subject to our past experiences and habitual ways of thinking, and in light of a lot of what I read, that is also very relevant in this context as well. And I'll share a little bit more on that topic, particularly when it comes to these, discrimination cases that have come to light with a tour business. Another thing I found on the World Wide Web is just again going with challenging these perceptions is this series of drawings from an Italian artist, Alessandro Palombo, who drew Disney heroines with disability to highlight an inequality that still very much exists out there today. So in challenging these preconceptions, this artist was inspired to create the series after a bout with cancer that left himself, paralysed. And it also in the way that this challenges the preconceptions or these images that he intended to challenge the conventional perception of beauty as well, and give young girls that are living with disability themselves real models that they can relate to, which I thought was very interesting in that challenging the perceptions or what is put out there. This is something as part of your homework to go and check out this TED Talk from Sue Austin, who goes on to share as well. She found herself, being paralysed and not being able to walk. When she was first given her first powered wheelchair, she saw freedom and she saw, feeling the air rush through her face that she, as she could have this freedom to get around. But then it was amazing how much that was challenged in her way, in the way that people perceived her once. So in a way she saw this amazing vehicle and tool that could now give her freedom, but then the way she was seen and the assumptions that came with her now having to use a wheelchair to get around made her, as you can see from this picture, challenge people that, hey, I'm able and willing, and this is the possibilities for me. So that's a TED Talk I would encourage you to go and have a look at. So thank you. I will have a look at the questions. Thank you for the questions that are coming in. We'll have some time at the end, and any additional resources. Thank you, Bronwyn. If there's something else that you're doing, I think this is a great format to share that as well, if there's any additional resources or events that are coming up. So challenging the preconceptions, what do you see? Outside of Coca-Cola and Apple, and more recently I heard the word okay, this is one of the most recognised symbols around the world. What if, so showing someone that is very, still, and it's motionless, and you can see that there's a wheelchair. It's the sign for the disabled parking, or the disabled stickers. But what if it looked like this? And this is something that in July 14, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed the bill to remove the word handicapped from signs for people living with a disability, and the standard wheelchair symbol of this into something that promoted more activeness and accessibility. So this is something that also I wanted to highlight, that this is not something that one size fits all, and living with this disability is not just about wheelchair access. And you can see, to complement a lot of the symbols out there, we have a range of different disabilities or that people are living with that we need to cater for. And this is also, as you may have heard before, the ageing population, and also as myself as a mother with young kids, this is travelling around with a double pram in Europe with 2 young ones. I certainly saw had some limitations in getting around and enjoying the destinations that I was visiting. So it is a really wide range of a market. So when it comes to your website and web ability and social ability, when it comes to your social media, I just wanted to share, and keeping an eye on the time, wanted to share some tips that you can go off and do right now. I like to give you some actionable things that you can take away with you, and perhaps inspire you to change the way that you put your content together. So for number 1 is to choose content management systems that support accessibility. So if you're coming up to revamp your website or do a bit of a website review, actually having this at the top of mind to ask, whether if it's a theme that you're choosing, particularly when it comes to themes like WordPress. An example, Drupal is another content management system for web design that is actually accessible. So making sure to choose an accessible theme. Now what this means, and there's actually just like, I'm wearing a hat of accreditation at the moment, for these themes to actually be accessibly ready, they go through a review process to get that stamp that it will give you that ability, or that give you that reassurance that your website will be able to be easily read by screen readers and the like. So that is my first little tip to share with you. Next, we have using headings to correctly structure your content. So all of these, and if there's something that you don't have at the moment, most of you will with your when you load blogs or you load content on your website, most of you will have this, but some might, you might be also be copying and pasting from a Word document and putting into your website. This is something like, go through your content and use your headings appropriately, because it is better organized for people that are using screen readers. So there's tip number 2, knowing your audience. So if you're really passionate about making your website accessible and saying that we are accessible, an accessible experience, I would implore you, again, this is the more homework for you, is to go and download the free Chrome Vox. It's the free. It comes with Google Chrome. So if you use Google Chrome as your Internet Explorer, if you use Chrome Vox, it's a free extension, and I've done this myself, and then go check out your website and see how a voice activation system actually reads through, and how easily it can read through your site. You only need to do it once to realize a lot of us are not doing this very well at all. So another free tool for you to go and check out. Using alt tags is the 4th tip I'm going to give you. So when you're loading images on your websites, to take that next step to be more descriptive on what it actually is showing. Okay, so to give you an example here, I've taken some examples, picture of the student. Now sometimes with these alt tags, again, with your content management system, when you're uploading featured images. Most of you, I mean, I don't want to assume, but the most popular is WordPress sites, that you'd want to be not just using the JPEG image and then not, take the time to be descriptive on what it's actually showing, because again, with the voice activation system or screen readers, this is how someone that is living with a visual impairment, this is what they're really relying on to use. So you can see, for example, here, if you do go to the effort of doing it, picture of a student, okay, is not really telling you what this student is, as opposed to a postgraduate engineering student working on the new electron. You get what I mean. Below that is again is just a screenshot of showing how this looks like. So you can put a caption on your images, but take that next step and just put an alternative text or an alt tag, as it's known, okay, to be able to have that effect. Okay, creating subtitles and transcriptions on your videos. This is so easy to do. So for those of you that have YouTube channels, this is again a free tool that YouTube gives within the platform. I've taken a screenshot from my YouTube account. You've got all your info and settings and edit tools, subtitles and creative captions. That's content captions or creative captions, but this is where you can go and put in those captions to your videos yourself. Okay, so that's a really good tool. Be careful, it automatically transcribes and does the captions for you, but you can imagine we all speak very differently, and it can, I found when I don't look at that and don't go through and edit it, it can be a little bit jumpy and all over the place. But now you know. We don't know what we don't know, but now you know. It's very easy to do. And as you rightly pointed out, that video at the start was breaking up, but you were able to still enjoy it, just like someone that might have a visual or hearing impairment enjoy it, because those captions were in there. Describing your links is another tip I want to share with you when it comes to your digital accessibility, okay? So instead of saying, what I mean by here is writing out what the link is about. So for example, it's better to write out, to learn more about Melbourne experiences, check out top 10 things to do in Melbourne, and create that as a hyperlink, as opposed to learn more about Melbourne experiences, click here. The click here is not telling, telling your audience that is living with any of the above what that link is going to take them to. Okay, so again, now you know. Even for myself, as I research and do more and more of this, once I know, then, we can change these habits as well to make these user experiences, because for anyone, for everyone, inclusivity, this helps everyone. It's not only good for your web ability, it's also really, really good. All of these tips are really, really good for your SEO as well. Automatic alt text for Facebook. So Facebook launched an accessibility team, 5 years ago, and they've just recently taken it to that next step, that part of their work has been dedicated to developing products to make their user experience better for all on the platform. Now, I did this myself, and I tell you, I will never leave a blank image on Facebook without describing what it is, because if you're using and you can, again, this is free for you to go and test on how your audience that might, again, have be living with a disability. There's a free voiceover app. I'm not sure what it is on an Android, but I know on the iPhone that you can go and download and then go and do Facebook and on your phone when you have to have something read out to you. So the photos that don't have the alt text or have that specific caption in there will just get missed. Okay, so that is something, give it a go. Go and activate your voiceover app on your phone and then go and experience your Facebook page. You will definitely be inspired to make some changes in the way you do that with your images or what you're sharing on your social media. Okay, so that's what that looks like. So instead, you know, you've got a photo. Image may contain two people smiling, sunglasses, sky, outdoor, water. Okay, so there's an example, and I've got, if you'd like to do some more reading on this Facebook new text, new feature, I've got a link in there, and happy to share these slides and resources with all of you as well. I might put them in the Your Tourism Excellence group and follow up with all of you if that's something that you will find value in. Learning from others. This is something else that, again, guys, please feel free to give us, ask any questions, or if there's anything I can see I've got the little panel here. I hope you found that valuable. Did you find that valuable? Give me a little hands up in the air if you found that valuable in how you can, something that you can do today on World Tourism Day to make your website accessible. Thanks, Brett. Okay, so learning from others. We don't know what we don't know, and some things that we don't want to do. So this is a case, a discrimination case against a coach company, Murray's, in New South Wales, where this lady, Julia Harriskin, won a discrimination case against a bus company that wouldn't let her book a trip because it did not have wheelchair access vehicles. So she was told that her booking couldn't be taken because the buses could not accept wheelchairs. So she took this further to address it as a discrimination case, and I've just extracted some quotes from this particular article that she said that it's really the principle. The legislation at the moment says that the only way standards can be enforced to be inclusive for all is that if there are breaches and people individually file complaints, and that's exactly what she did. And I love what she just said. This isn't about me, it's about making sure the standards are complied with, and it's about people's human rights. So again, that's something that we should all take note from and say, well, what can we do with the resources that we have available to us? And certainly, certainly I can share my own experience there. This is something that I just saw last week. I don't know if anyone saw Quentin Canahan on the, I think it was 60 Minutes or A Current Affair, where he was interviewed by Ray Munton. Now, on 2 occasions, Quentin had to correct Ray and say, no, Ray, you're labelling me here. I'm telling you about a story that I was put in an institution as a child, in a disabled institution as a child, and that, Ray had said to him, oh, that must have been hard, Quentin, and being in a wheelchair. And he just said, no, it wasn't hard because I was in a wheelchair. It was hard because I was a child. And again, and then even he shared that with him, and he said, no, I was a child. It will be hard for any child to be put into an institution. Being in a wheelchair had nothing to do with it. And then on a second occasion, Ray said, and you're Quentin, and you're Quentin in a wheelchair. And then he said, you're labelling me again. So, and Scope Victoria certainly highlighted this to us with Kiff at Global, that it's see the person first, not the disability. And as I delve deeper, I mean, this was a headline that was on the Australian. Quentin expressed just his sheer sadness that is the disability would be a burden on society, and it will be put on a front headline and cover like that. So these are, I put this in the not to do basket. And I've got the additional resources there if you wanted to have a look further into that. And he's actually just launched a new book. That's what was, Not All Heroes Wear Capes, which I think will give us all a further insight as well, which I'm looking forward to that launch and grabbing a copy myself. Okay, so opportunities ahead. what are you missing? So improving access means also putting on our marketing and business development hats on, tapping into a large and growing market. Did you know 1 in 4 people, about 4 million in Australia, so coming closer to here, is living with a disability? Their total spending power is around 1.5 billion per year. Did you know people with a disability spend 8 billion a year on Australian tourism experiences, accounting for 11% on, on tourism. Accessible tourism market does not necessarily mean wheelchair users. As I mentioned earlier, ageing population, parents travelling with prams, larger groups that include people that are people with a disability. So that means that there are loads, not just potential, it oozes potential and lots of benefits for accessible tourism for your business and our destinations to be even greater, that we can really, really take the lead. So more on the total expenditure, and a lot of this is, and I'll share this resource as well, was from the Tourism Victoria, now Visit Victoria, the resource kit, the accessibility resource kit that is available. So Mr. Kiffer, if you're with us, so I just want to take Kiff off mute now. Kiff Saunders, CEO, founder, balloon extraordinaire, hot air ballooning extraordinaire from Global Ballooning Australia. Are you there? Let's check, Kiff. I've just taken you off mute. Hopefully you've got some headphones available to you. So as he gets himself, hopefully he can join us. But look, Kiff, are you there, Kiffer? So Kiff Saunders, I guess as part of the journey at Global Ballooning and as the booking bums in baskets girl for many years, working with Kiff at Global, anyone that would say, can I bring in a seat? Can I bring in my wheelchair? Oh, I can't stand for the duration of the flight. My elderly father, I want to buy this for his 70th, 80th, 90th, but he can't stand. We would have to say no. No, you do have to stand for the duration of your 1 hour flight. And so we've lost Kiff, unfortunately. But anyway, I mean, I can share the story as we try and get him on board. So I had to say no for many years now through a very unfortunate, very unforeseen, one of the scariest time during my time at Global. Kiff had a very serious and life-threatening accident, which left him in a very vulnerable position that he was not able to not only fly his beloved hot air balloons, he couldn't walk. He had to kind of relearn to walk, and it took him about a year of rehab to get there. There's actually an Australian story piece on his journey. Australian Story came out and did a piece on Kiff, but through his relationships with his TAC lawyers, Burton Davies, and you can see the balloon soaring over Melbourne there, Kiff expressed his like ultimate, this is something that I've always wanted to do, in terms of having a basket that is accessible for all, with a door, a seat, restraints that can, anybody can enjoy the thing that I love to do for, most of my life. And through the collaboration, again, talking partnership opportunities and innovation. Sometimes we can't do things ourselves, but who can we collaborate with and complement each other with and bring in our resources together to innovate? And that's certainly what we did at Global. And what I love with Kiff, I mean, for myself too, we had no idea of even accessible tourism as a market or a segment. A lot of this just came out of, this is what we experience. It came very organically. It was a passion project first, and like all things that come with passion, they come with success. because they, it solved the problem. And we had clients from a lot of social enterprises, so Scope Victoria being one of them, and many around the country, that would fly their clients that have always wanted to, fly in a hot air balloon but could never do it. And it was really a very exciting and a very well-deserved award for global ballooning when we were nominated from Scope Victoria for a Victorian Disability Award, which, mind you, I have to bring and shed the light that we were the only tourism, not only the tourism business, tourism people at this event in 2014 or 13. I think it was 2013. I unfortunately, Kiff, but that's, hopefully, Kiff, you don't mind, and I did the story justice for you. It's certainly something that, I continue to wave the flag for Global and KIFO and everything that the team do there. So innovation, inspiration, that was certainly, there certainly is a lot more resources to share with you there as well. So without further ado, and hopefully we don't have any techie issues, and welcome Lara. Well, Lara's just come on board. The next person that I wanted to introduce to you, and hopefully let's check that we can get Debbie. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, yay. Unfortunately, I couldn't get Kiff, and I started to stress out that my special guest won't be able to join us. So welcome Debbie. Thank you so much for joining us today on our webinar. Certainly you guys, ambassadors as well. And just before, I just wanted to introduce you, Debbie, and, being an ambassador and what you do to everyone that's joined us on this webinar. So for everyone that may not know of Changing Places Australia, you will soon know more about it. I just want to introduce you, Debby Conlon, who's managing the project at the moment. She currently works for the Association for Children with a Disability, ACD, and as the ACD Education Coordinator, she provides information sessions and workshops to families and professionals. So she has previously worked as an ACD parent support worker and as a case manager with a community service organisation. Now, Debbie, you yourself have a son with cerebral palsy and a gorgeous daughter. Thank you for, again, I'm very grateful for you taking the time out to join us. So please share with us more about the initiative with Changing Places Australia and what you're doing over there.
Sure, thanks Despina. Just like global ballooning, accessibility ballooning, toilets, we don't think about accessibility in a toilet because it's something that's quite a private space. It's something that you do individually, and it's not something that you bring up in conversation. So unless you're faced with having to go to the toilet and not being able to do it naturally, like most people, we don't think about the difference. So a lot of businesses will build, a wheelchair accessible toilet, and they think that they're then meeting the needs of people with disabilities. But there's 200,000 Australians out there that need more than just a disabled toilet, a toilet in a room that's a little bit bigger than normal. So there's quite a big population of people out there that need more than just a toilet. They might need a height adjustable change table, or they might need a hoist to lift them out of their wheelchair and onto the toilet, or they might need just the space and a clean and safe environment. That's the other thing. So a couple of years ago, my colleague Di said to me, I'm just, it's getting hard with her son to take him out, and she said, I'm just going to focus on toilets. And so through her and a couple of other people, a consortium was developed, and the first Changing Place toilet in Victoria was developed in the Maroondah Council based on a UK Changing Places initiative that started, I think, in 2006. So we've been advocating for building standards to develop. There's no standard at the moment around accessible toilets for people with profound and multiple disabilities. But I think what's really important to remember is as the National Disability Insurance Scheme rolls out in Australia, people with disabilities are going to have the resources to be able to get out. So they're going to be able to go and visit places. They're going to be able to want to go on holidays because they've got the resources there to support them to go on those holidays. But to do that, they need to be able to go to the toilet. So could you imagine if you were going to say, out for the day, like to the zoo, and in that time, being told, well, you can't go to the toilet, because we don't have anything there to meet your needs. So you'd have to hold on, or you'd have to restrict your liquid intake, or you'd have to sit in a soiled nappy or continence product for the day. Not very nice, is it? So
No.
yeah, so that's what Changing Places is about making, the experience for people with disabilities a lot better.
And how many Changing Places tours? So we've had one in Maroondah. How many more are there now since this? And congratulations as well, I should add, to what, again, you're providing a very, very important solution. So how many are now since that first one in Victoria? Or in the...
I don't know exactly. So there's some different... If you go onto our website, there's actually a toilet map, and you can see we have got a rating of a blue level changing place, which is meeting current standards. Then there's a green level changing place, which are places that were built in the last couple of years that may not have the full circulation space around the toilet. So through our consortium, we've developed some standards that need to be met for it to become a blue changing place accredited facility.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
I was just, for anyone that's joining us that's never heard of the National Disability Insurance Scheme, can you just give us what this actually means to organisations like Changing Places and to the community?
Yes, so currently our current system for funding to support people with disabilities is just not meeting our needs. So the National Disability Insurance Scheme is rolling out slowly across Australia, where you're entitled to funding to support you to live an ordinary life. So our current system only meets 5% of people with disabilities, whereas this is going to meet a considerable amount more. And that's probably going back to that picture with Quinton where it's saying disability is a 17 billion burden. That's because it is quite expensive to fund, but it's actually then getting people out into the community, back into work. Their carers and family members who are caring full-time and can't work will be able to go back to work as well, and then they'll be able to have more money to spend on tourism, things like that. So it's a whole new way of thinking, and it's the when Medicare was introduced in Australia, that was a whole new social initiative, and this is the next big thing since then.
Thank you for that. Debbie, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts as an industry. What can people that as an industry, as businesses, as individuals, to support Changing Places, the project, how can we become involved, and what is something that you're putting out there at the moment? Because I know there was a survey or something going out there recently.
Yes, so,
what would you like
yeah.
more help with, where anyone that's listening in can could potentially assist?
Yep. So in Victoria at the moment, the state government has got funding to build 15 more changing places around Victoria. So we have a survey there for people to vote where they want to see a changing place built. So, you know, earlier on with the talk around the Yarra Valley, be great. You know, you can go ballooning in the morning, you know, early morning, and then if you needed to go to the toilet, if there was a changing place in the Yarra Valley there somewhere, then they could stay in the area and not have to go home. So that, you know, it extends their experience for the day. So if you know of an area that you would like, or that you live in and you would like a changing place, that, you know, you can go on and vote. So currently we have one at the Melbourne Zoo and one at Rod Laver Arena. There's one to be built at Amy Park and St Kilda surf lifesaving area, and in Ballarat there's one being built there, and in Shepparton. But, you know, we need them everywhere. So
Absolutely, and
yeah.
I mean, regional, what a great opportunity for regional destinations, as Bill shared with us earlier. It's a destination. This is yeah, I hope you're having a lot of requests putting out there, and we'd certainly do our best to get this out. So changingplaces.org.au is where this survey exists. Is that right, Debbie?
That's right.
Have I got
That's
that right?
exactly right. Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that. It's very insightful, and I really appreciate your time, and I'll share any other resources that you have. Please flick them to me, and I'll happily put it out there and help you wave that flag even higher. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye. Okay, that was awesome. The last but not least, a very special guest that we have to join us, and then we can have a little bit of time for questions, and all our guests are staying on board. I hope Kiff might still be there. No, we've that we can try him again, but never mind. So Lara, as I introduce you, let me check that I can take you off mute and bring you in. Lara, with my fingers crossed tightly, are you there? Hello. So Lara's joining us as the CEO of Destination Melbourne. She is the city's, well, Destination Melbourne as an organisation is the city's visitor champion, advocating for greater Melbourne's visitor experience to be inclusive to all, keeping everyone looking ahead and positioning the organisation as an authority when it comes to the Melbourne visitor industry. Now I've got Lara off mute. Are you there, Lara? We're having some sound check difficulty. I'll keep going, and Lara, I'll leave you off mute if you come on board. All we need, if you have a headset with a little mic on it, will be great to get you on the call or on the webinar. But as we hopefully can get Lara on to join us, I can hear something. I just want to bring your attention to the Tourism Victoria kit. It is still just as relevant. This was a resource kit and a bit of a strategy that Tourism Victoria put out from 2013 to 2016. And in the kit, there are resources there in terms of, what are you missing as a business, exploring your local area. We've just heard from Debbie and the opportunities that you can tap into, making low-cost changes, assessing building and facilities, describing how we're describing our business, promoting our business, and developing a business plan for your accessible needs, or attracting more of this market. Something else I wanted to highlight to you, I'm not sure if many of you know, Lonely Planet launched the very first accessible Melbourne guide. It is a free guide that you can download as an ebook. I've got the link there as lonelyplanet.com, accessible Melbourne, and this was done by Martin Heng, who has been a Lonely Planet writer and guidebook producer for many, many years. Someone else I had the pleasure to meet through our good friend Bill. So you can follow Martin and download the guide. Lara, please yell out and say hello if we've got you, and it's the same for you, Kiffa, if you have a headphone appropriate, we can get you on there. The other thing in terms of your digital ability, or your web ability and social ability, is to complement your digital content, particularly as you go down the path of accessibility, with photo ability, stock images. So Kiff, I can hear him now. So photo ability is something that you can also check out if you want stock images for your website and your content. Okay, your tourism excellence is where all of this came. I guess the community of tourism professionals from around the state, a lot of you have come through there, and I thank you very much for joining us today. Here's some handles, social media handles, and also hashtags to use. Now, Bronwyn White, if anyone has any questions, oh wow, I've got, so hot. Okay, so if you've got just the last 5 minutes, I've got Bill, Bronwyn White launching a free report today to celebrate World Tourism Day on accessible tourism. Yes, we can promote it. Bronwyn, and Bill features heavily as he does. Travelability.travel blog, Destinations All is a resource. I will share all of this, guys. Thank you. And I've got more, loads of resources from Bill to share. Yes, that is something the most important is the alt tag on images. Lynn, thank you for that comment, agreeing. Sima, great session. Thank you for that. Sima, just wondering, what is the technology usage rate patterns for people with disability and ageing population in Australia? Great question there, Sima. This is something that I will have to get back to you on that. I'll have to go back into my research. So the technology usage rate patterns for people with disabilities and ageing population in Australia. I have a great report that I no doubt will give you. I will be guessing if I gave you something on that, but I will be delighted to go back and research and get back to you on that one. Accessibility is important, correct? Could you give examples of a few accessible tourism websites from Australia? Absolutely. There is, I mean, this is something, to be honest with you, I was actually, when I put on that Google Vox Pop, the sound, I was actually hard pressed. I think we all have a long way to go in accessible websites, but I do have some on hand, like Expedia.com as a travel website. That's been rated one of the top accessible websites globally as a travel website, and Airbnb and the like. But Expedia ticks all of those boxes. They've actually did a big audit on what are the best accessible travel website, and Expedia featured highly, if not on top of the list of that one. Okay, I will be sharing this presentation. I will have this presentation out there, and I will have all of this ready. I've got, okay, so Kiff, I had you on there. Kiff, are you there? Are you still there?
Can you hear me?
Here, there you go. I've got you. So as a parting note, thank you for joining us. We've still got a little bit of time then. Thank you everyone for your comments and sharing your links. I've got a lot of links and resources that are coming out today. My feed has gone a bit crazy, so I'll share that with everyone throughout the day. And I will also, Kiff, did you have anything to add to that? I hope I did that justice for you. Did you have anything to add to the conversation?
Oh, look, I mean, can you actually hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I'm kind of yelling. I'm having all sorts of technical difficulties here. I mean, my biggest point in all of this is that, I think we kind of look at accessibility in a situation of, people in wheelchairs or people who have undergone some accident, when really, when you look at the concept that experience is now the biggest kind of aspirational thing for people in life, is just, what do you want your old age future to be, And I think that, from a tourism point of view, I think you should look at what you do to be able to support accessible tourism in the concept of how do you want your future to be, because we're much fitter when we retire. We want to travel the world. We want to do all of these amazing things once we finish our working lives. And really, I just think it's beholden on us all to be able to make sure that when we get old, we are having all of the opportunities that are presented to us, not just for people who are, categorised as disabled, because certainly, in life, we're building our own future, and I think that that concept of experience is very important.
That is a really, really valid point. It's a really valid point. Thank you, Kiff. That I think on that note, unless anyone hey, we have Lara. Hello.
Sorry, having awful microphone issues, so I finally managed to get through. So I'm terribly sorry about that.
I'm so pleased we had Kiff, because that was a really important takeaway from what Kiff just shared. And I don't know if you caught the end of that, Lara. Kiff just shared, we have to think of our own futures and how we want our futures to be and catered for as we want to experience our backyards and our and the world around us. So I guess some insights from you as we wrap up into, you're really taking a leading role at Destination Melbourne in the visitor economy and visitability. Just your insights in how you are really taking that ambassador role.
Yeah, we're pushing accessibility through our visitability program, which is focused on 5 key factors, and accessibility is one of them. And through talking to the industry, through our key events and forums throughout the year, we keep championing the need for businesses to look at their experiences and to make sure that what they're offering is accessible as well. That because often people have a mindset that if someone has a disability, it equals an inability to travel, which is far from the truth. Because people who have mobility issues or have a certain disability, they still have the same aspirations and dreams and desires to travel as anyone else does. So I think we just all got to open up our minds and making sure that whatever we're offering is also accessible to all different types of people.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lara. That is we've just taken another level of how we can finish off an hour well spent together, I think. So thank you for, I'm so pleased that worked out in the end with both you and Kiff. So we've had, and thank you to everyone. We've come from all parts of the country really today, and everyone that's joined us. It hasn't been just Victoria based, and like I said, my panel's gone crazy. From Bronwyn, thank you, and Bill, thank you, from additional resources that we can share. And I hope you've enjoyed this virtual connection that we can all, didn't impinge on our own travel times and too much of our day, that we can come together, and we should probably do it more often. So thank you to my special guests, Lara, Kiff, Debbie, Bill for joining us, and keep sharing. We'll definitely keep growing together. So on that note, there we go. Have a wonderful day. Stay happy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Lara. Bye, guys.